Welcome back, but you best prepare yourself for Ichinose's next big move on our boy, followed by a special exam which guarantees at least one expulsion. After spending the final day of winter break alone together, our couple makes their way to school. Pseudo jealously complains they're so lovey-dovey before warning Ayunokoji that some first years were caught and punished for indecent activities. Upon arriving, Chabashira-sensei immediately reveals that student-teacher meetings are coming up in order to discuss potential career options. Some students weren't even aware this was a thing, and apparently their parents will be involved as well. Ayunokoji doubts his father will stop by, and it's not like it matters, since his future has already been determined. Though the class contains many different views, with some planning to go to college, while others think it's smarter to hopefully use the Class A privilege to get a job right away. Now, on his way to lunch, Ayunokoji winds up being swarmed by Horikita and Kushida. They bicker back and forth until Horikita semi-forces him to join them. However, they're headed away from the cafeteria, and Kushida asks if she can stop by the store to pick up some stomach medicine. With that red flag, he demands an explanation and learns Ibuki is preparing lunch for the group. Immediately regretting his decision to join, he finds out that Horikita has been frequently cooking for all three of them, though of course, none of them enjoy each other's company. It was during one of these encounters that Ibuki was taunted, which resulted in her declaring she's able to cook. Hearing everything he needs to know, Ayunokoji attempts to flee, but Kushida isn't about to let that happen. At the meeting area, an overconfident Ibuki complains that Ayunokoji wasn't supposed to be here, before quickly handing over a bento box. He states the three of them must have grown close, but each of them denies it. Upon opening the box, it looks questionable at best, and they each take turns trying different parts. The girls agree it's definitely not good, and that the seasoning is very inconsistent, but they admit it is better than they expected. Ibuki complains they're being unreasonable and takes a bite, doing her best to act as though it's delicious. With a thunk to her head, Horikita declares you have to carefully measure the ingredients and rewards her with 20 points out of 100. Our lone male, however, thinks it deserves better, since it would be a decent meal if you were stranded on a deserted island. Unable to take the criticism, Ibuki exclaims it's more efficient to just buy pre-made food, followed by Horikita stating good nutrition is required to grow. This prompts Kushida to mention Ibuki's modest chest size, resulting in a fight almost breaking out. After even more bickering, the girls make plans to eat dinner together at Horikita's dorm tonight. Then with only 2 people remaining, Ayunokoji points out this wasn't a proper meal, so Horikita once again offers to buy him lunch. He thinks it must be fun spending time with them so frequently, but Horikita reaffirms that it's not pleasant at all. It's a few days later that Chabashira announces the Survival and Elimination Special Exam. Classes will take turns attacking and defending in a specified order, which will reverse after the first 10 rounds. Each turn, the class leader will choose a subject and difficulty, which the school will use to administer a question. Though upping the difficulty costs your class a point, and each student must choose 3 subjects to opt out of. The leader then decides which 5 students from the defending class to target. Now on the flip side, the defending class's leader gets to choose 5 people to protect. Points are earned by either protecting a target or an unprotected target answering the question correctly. If a student answers 3 questions wrong, they are considered eliminated, and the class will be deducted a single point. However, at the end of the exam, the leader, whose class finished last, must choose one of their eliminated students to be expelled. The class points rewarded for each placement are as follows, and any tie will be broken via overtime. Then in the unlikely result of a 4-way tie, all classes will be treated as if they finished last. Ayunokoji then notices how this exam technically allows you to target a specific person from another class to expel. Horikita wonders what happens if a leader becomes eliminated, but it's revealed the leaders don't answer questions, meaning they can't be expelled. Then as long as you're not actively answering questions, cell phones are in fact allowed. Example uses might be cramming information and/or negotiating with another class. This special exam will take place next Friday, though they must select a leader by Monday. Chabashira then encourages the class to do their very best, not to finish in last place. With the exception of Koenji, a class meeting is held, where Harada asks Horikita to be the leader. She agrees if that's what the class desires, but also wants to know if anyone else is interested in the position. The silence is taken as support, until Meizono brings up Horikita's indecisiveness during the unanimous vote special exam. That's actually a fair point, however nobody else is volunteering, as the entire class looks toward Ayunokoji. With Horikita cemented as Class B's leader, they now discuss Horikita's promise to protect Koenji, due to his victory on the uninhabited island exam. With a groan, the class realizes he'll consume 1 protection slot every round, but Horikita reassures them she already has countermeasures in place. Later on at the mall, Kei states she's worried about this exam and wants to know if Ayana Koji will be able to protect her. In response, he carefully sidesteps the question, instead bringing up how valuable she is to the class. It's then, while walking back to the dorm, they pass by Morishita, who's seemingly sleeping on a bench. Apparently, she's been waiting for Ayana Koji, though in reality, Karuizawa is what Morishita is here for. She wonders why Harada would have dated such a plain girl. Kei states she's cute, but Morishita thinks Kei is the type of person to hide behind a mask. This causes Ayana Koji to step in, explaining he's with her simply due to feelings of love. Apparently love is a concept Morishita has never understood, and she promptly apologizes for being rude. Ayana Koji then wonders if anyone has ever called her unique, and she declares to not liking it when people say that. With the conversation over, Morishita offers to walk home with them. Kei wants nothing to do with her, but Ayana Koji accepts, sharing his contact info as well. School comes to a close that Friday, prompting Michan to ask Ayana Koji for a moment. She brings up the unanimous vote special exam and how she was absent for multiple days due to her crush on Harada being revealed. During that time, an unknown person delivered food to her door. The store clerk knows this person's identity, but Michan ran away too embarrassed. After a bit more discussion, they head to the store together, where Michan strongly states Ayana Koji is nothing more than a friend. To their surprise, the mystery person is in fact Koenji, so Michan decides to buy him a thank you gift. Ayana Koji thinks that's a great idea, and is reluctantly talked into accompanying her to deliver it. The following morning, Ayana Koji heads to the lobby, leaving Kei asleep in his bed. He asks where's the meeting location. She bursts into tears, as she thought Ayana Koji was setting that up. At this time of day, Koenji is likely at the gym, so they head to the mall and wait until he walks by. Michan pleads for a moment of his time, but is denied since he's currently very busy. They choose to follow him to the cafe, wait for him to finish talking to a third-year girl, before catching him at the exit. This time, she asks why Koenji delivered food to her, and is told he simply helps people in need. You come to find out, Koenji owed Michan a debt, though she doesn't remember ever doing anything for him. Ayana Koji is curious if Koenji would willingly aid the class if the class helped him, but he declines as that'd be a transaction, not genuine goodwill. It's mentioned that someone could convince Horikita not to protect him, followed by Koenji threatening to retaliate against said person. Of course, Ayana Koji wouldn't actually do that. The next week, just after class, Ike exclaims he's come up with a winning strategy. The majority of the class ignores his outburst, but Horikita takes him seriously and suggests they move to a more private location. Once everyone settles in, Ike declares they just need to have 32 students fake being sick the day of the exam. Hondo exclaims they'd begin the exam with minus 32 points. However, they'd only be left with 5 students to protect, guaranteeing them a plus 68 score by the end of the 20th round. Everyone here is genuinely impressed with his idea. However, Horikita points out the one rule stopping them. It's the fact cell phones are allowed. That would make it way too easy for the other classes to deduce their strategy and thus work together to leave them in last place. Ike's a bit angry he didn't think of that, followed by Horikita genuinely thanking him for the new perspective. Once everyone else is gone, Ayana Koji wonders if she'd be willing to discuss the special exam, as he wants to pick her brain to see what she's thinking. Horikita does agree, though she's not happy he essentially wants to judge whether or not she's prepared. Now sitting down at the cafe, Ayana Koji brings up how her hair has grown out, and thinks back to the day she was crying like a child. With the threat of scolding Coffee, the topic switches as he wants to know how she's changed since the unanimous vote special exam, specifically her plan for if they come in last place. You find out Horikita still occasionally feels guilty over Sakura, but has already decided on 2 potential options if they must expel someone. Next, he wants to know if Horikita would prefer to win, lose, or draw. Obviously, she wants to win, but what if winning would cause Ibuki to be expelled? After a moment of silence, she doesn't think Ryun would ever choose to expel Ibuki, but Ayana Koji points out Ryun could use Ibuki's expulsion as a potential threat. With her thoughts now in order, Horikita declares she'd prioritize victory, but demands to know why he's asking these odd questions. It's because she's so focused on her own class that she hasn't been thinking about how her opponents will fight. Openly revealing she's still figuring out her own style, she admits she's not yet capable of grasping the full picture, but will keep reminding herself to try. The topic then changes to Ayana Koji's past, though she quickly realizes he's not going to reveal anything. With the seriousness fading, they each take a drink of their coffee, both saying it's gotten cold. They smile together, followed by her realizing that's the first time she's witnessed his smile. That's also the first time he's ever smiled involuntarily, and he wonders why Horikita is the person that caused it. Saying that out loud ruined the atmosphere, causing her to leave, but not before asking what 3 subjects he wishes to be excluded from. Those would be entertainment, music, and subculture, the 3 topics you can't study for, and the exact same 3 Horikita would have chosen. The day before the exam, they have a free day, and Hashimoto receives a message about a class meeting, along with multiple messages from his new girlfriend. Apologizing for arriving late, his girlfriend is immediately brought up, though he's only dating her to gain information. This meeting is nothing more than a casual tea party, but this public gathering will surely cause their opponents to worry and thus focus. Isn't it better if their opponents are relaxed and careless? Nope, because Sakayanagi is really hoping for an exciting battle this time around. Hashimoto is very much against that perspective, but puts up with it since they've so far continued to win. After the tea party, he spends 30-ish minutes chilling in the bathroom stall before being unexpectedly confronted. He's concerned since this is a public area, but Rion declares he can just act normal. That's assuming he's truly innocent. Due to a phone call, our couple heads home, where Ayanokoji finds Kanzaki and Watanabe waiting for him. After a brief moment, Ichinose and Amikura arrive as well, causing the group to discuss the special exam. This conversation continues for a while, but eventually the group departs. Though a few minutes later, a knock on the door reveals Ichinose accidentally forgot her phone. Ayanokoji grabs it, she asks for a moment to talk, and wonders if it'd be safer if they locked the door. That, however, would make them even more suspicious, as he assumes she forgot her phone on purpose. Ichinose wonders if he finds her behavior disgusting, but in reality, he's very interested in this change of character. Oops, she gently trips into his chest, before verbally admitting she's in love with him. Slamming open, Watanabe is seeking advice. Everyone is speechless. Watanabe apologizes and flees, but a smiling Ichinose drags him inside, locking the door. It's explained that Ichinose initiated everything, and that Watanabe isn't obligated to keep it a secret, though she trusts he would never spread info that might hurt someone. Watanabe earnestly apologizes once again. Ayanokoji says it's fine, though Ichinose worries about Kei and offers to accept whatever punishment he deems fit, just as Watanabe begins sharing a secret story about a girlfriend he loved in middle school. In response, Ichinose makes it very clear that her love for Ayanokoji is one-sided, and then reveals knowing Watanabe likes Amikura. He wonders if Ichinose could maybe set them up, and of course she will help, since Watanabe is such a good guy, which leaves Ayanokoji extremely impressed with her manipulation tactics. Annoyed at their lack of strategy, Hashimoto calls Sakayanagi. He's worried the other classes will team up against them, but she's not, since only the lone winner will gain class points. It's always possible a hidden mastermind could be scheming something, followed by Sakayanagi wondering if that's all he needed. The real reason Hashimoto called was to inform her about Horikita's promise to protect Koenji. Guessing correctly that he obtained that intel from his girlfriend, Meizono, Sakayanagi's actually upset she learned this info. He doesn't understand how knowing more is a bad thing, causing her to declare it takes away a potential surprise. Then agreeing to stop interfering with her strategy, Hashimoto thinks it's time to put his own plans into action. It's the day of the exam, so Sakagami-sensei will be overseeing their class. The attacking pattern is shown, the exam commences, so Horikita sends an English level 1 question to Class C. She selects 5 targets. Ichinose successfully defends 2, while 2 more answer correctly, earning Ichinose 4 points. Then Rion only scores 1 point, while Sakayanagi earns 4. It's now time for Horikita to defend, and is met with an arithmetic level 1 question. She selects 5 people to defend, and the class is shocked Koenji isn't among them. She explains he's not in danger until he's eliminated, but Pseudo points out Koenji may choose to answer incorrectly on purpose. 2 successful defends, and 1 correct answer, ends the first round with Horikita having 3 points. Into the second round, Ichinose and Rion each gain 2 points, while Sakayanagi scores 4 once again. Horikita's class is then confronted with a gourmet food level 1 question. She chooses 5 people to defend, but none of them were targeted, leaving Koenji and 4 others to answer the question. Koenji chooses to just leave the question blank, which of course pisses off Pseudo. In round 3, they're met by the same subject. Again, all 5 defends are unsuccessful, as Koenji is targeted and once again doesn't answer. With the scores as shown, we enter into round 4, where Horikita is faced with a gourmet difficulty level 2 question. Now, if Koenji misses again, he will be eliminated, which would put him at risk of being expelled. Yet Horikita chooses not to protect him. With a laugh, Koenji exclaims she really did it, as the rest of the class is left confused and doubting their leader, who seems to have broken her promise. Of the 3 people not defended, only Koenji writes the correct answer, before turning to ask what Horikita was thinking. She boldly declares he's not eliminated, so there's no issue, causing Koenji to agree, apologize, and sit back down. With that, Koenji isn't targeted again, leaving Horikita sad that Sakayanagi didn't fall for her trap. Then after 10 rounds, the first half of the exam is over, earning them a precious break. The battle for first place is close, with Horikita only behind by a single point. There has been multiple eliminations from multiple classes, which even includes Kamuro, Yamamura, and Ishizaki. Now, Ichinose was indeed successful at preventing any eliminations, but it was mainly due to Horikita exploiting her strategy. Basically, Ichinose will always defend students on the verge of being eliminated, so Horikita purposely targeted the others. During the break, Ayunakoji is looked down on for getting a news question wrong, followed by them discussing Koenji. They both assume Sakayanagi was aware of Horikita's promise, meaning someone in the class had to have leaked the info. Ayunakoji then guesses Horikita's plan to expel Koenji if they come in last place, since he holds a protection point from winning the uninhabited island exam. She simply states her promise was to let Koenji do as he pleases, and not to guard his protection point. A few moments prior, even though they're in last place, nobody seems concerned with the special exam, which seriously creeps out Hoshinomiya. On top of this, Ryun continues targeting the same 8-ish key members of Class A, even though Sakayanagi keeps protecting them. Back in the second round, Hashimoto exclaims Sakayanagi didn't listen to his intel at all, as she's targeting Koenji. However, she believes Horikita won't protect him until he's closer to being eliminated. Then to his surprise, Koenji isn't defended, and even winds up getting the question wrong. Next round, Koenji is targeted again, followed by another outburst, but it goes the same as before. With that, Hashimoto apologizes, and Kito states Horikita has to protect him now. The following round, Class A erupts in disbelief, as Koenji is targeted yet again, and are even more stunned when he isn't protected. This even causes Sakayanagi to doubt Hashimoto's info, but then Koenji finally answers the question correctly. Thus she realizes Horikita was baiting her from the start, and chalks her recent growth up to Ayunakoji's influence. Then during the break, Hashimoto is left behind cramming on his phone, while everyone else leisurely goes to lunch. Shortly after sitting down, they're joined by Class A, who jokingly asks Horikita to take it easy on them in the second half. It's pointed out Sakayanagi didn't hold back on them, but it's proclaimed she did allow them to keep second place. An unexpected third party then arrives, causing Kito to stand up, offering to remove him. Sakayanagi welcomes this weak predator, as Kamuro jokes he's probably here to bargain for points, with a reminder that Kamuro is eliminated and at risk of expulsion. He explains that he targeted the people closest to Sakayanagi for a reason. His strategy, however, did land him in last place, followed by Horikita admitting she would have changed her plans if that happened to her. Just theoretically, Ryun is curious who Sakayanagi would expel if she came in last. Right now, it'd have to be Kamuro or Yamamura. Horikita asks what makes Yamamura so important, prompting Ryun to reveal she's a secret spy. Sakayanagi chooses neither to confirm or deny this. Kamuro then asks about Yamamura, but is reassured Ryun is just provoking her. The weak predator then leaves, as Ayunakoji receives a slight glance, essentially confirming that Ryun is definitely planning something. The second half is opened by Horikita attacking Sakayanagi with a level 2 difficulty question. With one defend and one right answer, she nets +2 points, before sending a level 3 difficulty question toward Ryun. Against all odds, Ryun unbelievably defends all 5 targets. Of course, he attacks next, followed by Ichinose attacking Horikita. Now, 2 students are successfully defended, but Ayunakoji and Kei are both among the targeted. The sports question causes Kei to make her first mistake, but even so, Horikita's class briefly takes the lead. On Ryun's next defense, he once again perfectly defends all 5 targets, and on Ichinose's next attack, Ayunakoji and Kei are targeted once again. This causes Kei to begin panicking, though she manages to answer correctly, leaving Ayunakoji the only person to get the question wrong. Now time to attack again. Horikita struggles to choose a target, so she takes Kushita's advice, which ends up with Satonaka answering incorrectly. In Ichinose's next attack, Kei is targeted a third time, but Horikita did in fact defend her. Though on the 14th defense, Horikita is uncertain if Kei needs protected. Kushida urges her to do it. As it turns out, Kei was indeed targeted a 4th time. At this point, Horikita and Sakayanagi are basically tied. However, Ichinose is slowly gaining, all the while Ryun just scored his 4th flawless defense, shooting him up the scoreboard. A few rounds prior, Ryun thought back to the time he was defeated by Ayano Koji. That day filled him with a strong urge to surpass that opponent, but before that, he'll crush Sakayanagi. Ryun exclaims he's counting on the class to make a comeback. Tokido blames Ryun for this situation, and is thus told he'll be the one expelled if they come in last. Explaining his previous call for help was a blatant lie. He orders Hochinomiya to input the 5 people to defend, and from here on, each round is a flawless defense, leaving Hochinomiya at a loss for how Ryun is doing this. Back in the first half, Ichinose was grateful that Horikita was exploiting her strategy and not eliminating anyone. So in preparation of the second half, she messages Ryun politely asking him to not eliminate any of her classmates. In return, she'll give him 25 points through successful defense, and after a brief moment to think about it, Ryun declines. But a bit later, he messages again, agreeing to cooperate, and on top of this, he demands she accept free points from him instead. Thus, during the second half, Ichinose thanks Ryun since he didn't have to help her, but is told it wasn't goodwill, he just wants Class A to finish last. It's around this time that Ichinose is tempted to eliminate Kei, for the very small chance that she could be expelled. However, snapping back to reality, she remembers the true enemy, and thus chooses to obsessively target Kei every round from here on. With Ichinose in the lead and Ryun on their heels, Class B begins to panic. Horikita admits she can't guarantee victory, but encourages them to fight tooth and nail alongside her. This, however, doesn't stop Kei from freaking out, as she's consistently targeted each and every round. You see, the first half of the exam bored Sakayanagi, so she begins wondering how Ayano Koji might react if Hiyori would be expelled. Though suddenly, Ryun pulls off the impossible by defending all 5 targeted students. Choosing to believe that wasn't luck, she selects the subject and targets at random next time, but once again, it's a flawless defense. She determines there must be a traitor among them, and after the 3rd flawless defense, she debates how to deal with this. Morishita declares information must be leaking, and suggests taking away cell phones, but Sakayanagi chooses to ignore this and continue as normal. After the end of the 20th round, Class A finds themselves in last place, forcing her to admit defeat. This means one eliminated person must be expelled, making the options Komuro, Yamamura, Toba, Sugio, or Makita. Statistically speaking, each of them brings equal benefit to the class, so Sakayanagi decides they will draw lots to determine. Makita, Toba, and Sugio all draw and are safe, leaving Komuro and Yamamura each with a 50-50 chance of being expelled. Komuro offers the choice to her classmate, but Yamamura is too scared to move. Sakayanagi declares refusal to participate will be seen as forfeit. Komuro asks if Sakayanagi is trying to save her, but is told she's just being fair. Forcing Yamamura's hand, they draw at the same time. Masumi Komuro will be expelled. The room is dead silent. Komuro calmly takes her seat, followed by Chabashira-sensei announcing the exam is concluded. And with that, Ryun is in fact the victor, with a massive 69 points. Bursting into Class B, Ichinose yells out to Kei, exclaiming she's so sorry for the harassment. Sato is ordered to relax, as Kei was being targeted just to give them free points. Apparently, Horikita had already reached out to confirm her suspicions, though Kei wants to know why she'd do that. Of course, the purpose was to make Class A finish last, and Kei was chosen because she's important to Class B, meaning Horikita would quickly protect her. Next, Ayano Koji takes a trip to Class D, where he finds Hiyori looking out the window at her classmates going to the mall in celebration. She, however, isn't excited at all, since her class didn't learn or grow due to winning with such underhanded tactics, though the fact she recognizes that means there's still hope for her class. Much later in the evening, Hashimoto arrives wondering why he's here. Sakayanagi declares whoever expelled Komuro can't be forgiven, and he wonders how the info was leaked. It was more than likely a cell phone, followed by her asking who the traitor is. Apparently, he has no idea, as she confidently proclaims the traitor to be Hashimoto. Understanding why she'd find him suspicious, he points out it'd be insane for him to sacrifice his current Class A position. Sakayanagi can't disagree, but would like to verify by checking his phone history. With nothing to hide, he offers up his messages, but she's more interested in his private point history. Now backed into a corner, he admits to being the traitor for the low price of 500,000 private points. Since she was so confident, he wonders why she didn't corner him during the exam, but she's sure Hashimoto was smart enough to use a third party's phone to relay the info. He retorts saying he did it because Class A is currently doomed to fall behind Class B. This loss was meant to send a warning to their class, and he asks her once again to recruit Ayanokoji, slamming her cane into the ground. She wonders what he really knows about Ayanokoji. Hashimoto thinks Ryun will steal him away, but Sakayanagi declares that to be impossible, as she and Ryun both wish to battle against that strong opponent. She declares Hashimoto should have just transferred to Class B himself, but was too much of a coward to willingly leave Class A. Sadly though, after today, Hashimoto must be expelled, though he bites back, planning to expel her first and take over as Class A's leader. In the hallway, Sakayanagi is joined by Ayanokoji, as he claims to want to tell Kamaro goodbye, though in reality, he's here to observe Sakayanagi. Next, they briefly discuss the traitor, just before Kamaro is surprised to see them. It's revealed she was chosen at random, causing Ayanokoji to straight up ask how Kamaro feels about that. It turns out she's fine, but feels a bit strange, since it was so unexpected. Sakayanagi tries to take responsibility, but Kamaro genuinely doesn't blame her. The former Class A student then leaves, as Sakayanagi struggles to keep up with the quick pace. Eventually, Sakayanagi trips and falls. Kamaro stops to help her, while also telling Sakayanagi to quickly find her replacement. Once again, Kamaro leaves. Sakayanagi explodes, asking why she's not saying anything, declaring her late friend to be so smart but yet so dumb. She just asks for the traitor to be taken care of. Without hesitation, Sakayanagi agrees, and Ayanokoji is told to be sure she follows through on that promise. For one final time, Kamaro walks away, as Sakayanagi wishes to be left alone. Waiting on a bench for 10 minutes, Sakayanagi finally walks by, assuming he's here to bask in Class A's defeat. Unexpectedly, Ayanokoji states she was by far the best leader today, and that Kamaro's expulsion was very unexpected. Statistically, she wasn't anything special, but Ayanokoji points out her expulsion is negatively affecting Sakayanagi. He openly states she struggles with empathy. Ha, that's big coming from him. But he points out Sakayanagi is still normal enough to feel the pain. What was she supposed to do? Selfishly save Kamaro? Yes, as she needed Kamaro in order to stay strong. Denying this fact, she declares Class A won't lose anymore, but Ayanokoji suspects they'll lose again on the upcoming finals. Accusing Ayanokoji of just being here to mentally attack her, Sakayanagi reveals his plan involves having all 4 classes stay competitive going into the 3rd year. He straight up agrees with her deduction of his plan, but points out he could care less which class is in the lead. His objective is simply to push everyone to their max potential, but Sakayanagi never asked for that help. Unapologetically, he says it was wrong to think Kamaro wasn't important to her, prompting Sakayanagi to explain she's never fit in with kids her age. Her attitude has always been to treat others as mere tools, but maybe Masumi Kamaro was her first genuine friend. Since she's able to recognize her mistake, it's not impossible for her to become stronger. This prompts Sakayanagi to proclaim that if Ayanokoji is meddling in everyone's affairs like this, then it's no wonder they're all growing so fast. She then turns away, leaving Ayanokoji to his thoughts. He'll just have to continue his preparations as planned in order to make an impact on those around him. Now allow me to personally thank Ramili for becoming my newest patron.